Okay, welcome back to Networking Unleashed, Building Profitable Connections. I'm your host, Michael Forman, speaker, strategist, and champion for those who build brands with heart and purpose. Today's guest is someone who doesn't just help entrepreneurs build a brand, she helps them uncover it. Her message is powerful. Stop searching outside of yourself. The clarity, purpose, and passion you're chasing. It's already within you. We'll talk about her signature iridescent slipper method, how to bring your brand to life authentically, and what it really takes to balance business and family as a mompreneur. If you ever felt like you're losing your voice, your vision, or your spark, this episode is a reminder that your greatest brand asset is your true self. Beverly, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad to have you on. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Oh, Michael, thank you so much. What a nice introduction. I appreciate it. It's always out of body when someone introduces you for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it is. My name is Beverly Cornell, and I am the founder of a company called Wickedly Branded. We are a boutique branding and digital marketing agency where we help solopreneurs step out of the tornado of marketing, overwhelm, and chaos to awaken your brand magic and boldly bring it to life. I have about 30 years in marketing. I've worked with hundreds of service-based entrepreneurs to help them simplify their message, attract their dream clients, and step in front of their brand. I'm also lovingly known as the fairy godmother of brand clarity because I really do believe that brand magic isn't just about a strategy. It's about embracing your purpose, skill set, systems, and truly step into your business with confidence.
Wow, outstanding. You have me sold. Okay. All right. So let's delve right into the questions. Let's start with your journey. How did you discover that the real magic of brand starts from within rather than outside trends or tactics?
Oh, well, but I never intended to be an entrepreneur, Michael. I had a very successful career in marketing and I worked myself up the corporate ladder to like the VP level. I worked for Chrysler's advertising agency. I worked for tech startups, mom and pops. But when I married my active duty Army husband in 2012, my career didn't really fit the mobile life that we had ahead of us. Remote work wasn't really a thing then. So I started freelancing and consulting and thinking it probably would be temporary until we got settled or whatever. But before I knew it, I had a legitimately full-blown business. And I realized that I had everything that I needed to build something really special. But I was really overwhelmed. I was stressed out and completely burned out. And I remember it was like a Tuesday evening and my family was all asleep. And there I was burning the midnight oil thinking, is this what being a business owner is all about? And what I had to do was take some time away from my business. I actually lost a couple key clients, which really stung, but it was exactly what needed to happen. Sometimes those moments of being unsuccessful for whatever reason it is kicks you in the pants and you realize, okay, this is not okay. We should not be living. Because I really loved those clients and I gave them everything. But what I learned along the way was that I wasn't very clear. And I realized that clarity isn't something that you find, it's something that you have to create. That is when everything shifted for me. And that is when I created the method that you talked about. I actually have changed the name of it, Michael. It's the brand magic method instead of the iridescent slipper. But I will talk about the slippers in a second, which
Okay.
helps entrepreneurs who feel like they're overwhelmed and stressed out like I did, step out of the chaos and into their brand with clarity, confidence, and momentum. And it changed everything for me, and it changes everything for my clients.
It's true that the more clear you are for your clients, the better they'll understand how you can help them.
Hmm.
And if they understand that you can help them in such a way, that's what they've been looking for. So by you articulating that and by you focusing in on how you can help them, then they really appreciate it. That's
So I use this analogy all the time about, and I say the tornado of overwhelm. It's very much the Wizard of Oz. when you're in the tornado, you can't see where you're going or what you're doing or anything. You're just trying to like manage, like even trying to get your perspective, right? Because you're just spinning in this chaos of work. And so many entrepreneurs spin in this chaos of work. They have to do financials, they have to do marketing, they have to do the HR stuff, they have to do the systems, they have to do the processes. It's so much spinning around that it's hard to get your bearings. Some people say you're in the weeds as opposed to see the forest for the trees, all the kind of things. But what ultimately I realized is that no magical man behind the curtain was going to fix anything. And my daily work was full of the flying monkeys of distractions every day. And what I had to do was really lean into my heart and my brains and my courage to fully step into my version of the ruby red slippers, which is the iridescent slippers. I actually literally have like sparkly shoes that I wear. But it's like when I did that, when I got clear and when I really became intentional and I step into those shoes, it's changed everything for me. No more chaos. Easy yes and no's, very clear focus, and simplified systems and processes in marketing. And that for me was the moment where I almost gave up my business because I was like, I can't do this, to I love, like, I would be up at 3 a.m., Michael, totally stressed out about something that I had to do, to the moment of 3 a.m. where I can't wait to go do the thing I want to do.
Absolutely. That just means that you listen, you look from to within before you can get that sense of happiness. But once you have found it and you found the passion to do what you
Hmm.
do, then you look forward to getting up in the morning and doing the work.
Yes.
But because you're so passionate, it's not work for you. And that's really, I think, the main difference.
And I get to hang out with some really cool clients, like people who are
Yeah.
genuine rock stars in the world of serving others. And just walking beside them is an honor, to be honest.
And networking is having a servant's heart. Okay. You're
Oh, I talk about that. Yes.
always looking to give rather
Uh-huh.
than receive. Okay.
Yes.
But let's
Yes.
move on to now. I'm going to use the iridescent slipper.
Okay.
Tell us about the iridescent slipper method. What is it, and how does it help entrepreneurs step in their true brand identity?
So I mentioned it, right? So we are all this tornado. We always get these distractions. We're always looking for that extra certification, the extra class to somehow validate our experience and who we are and all those things, that man behind the curtain, right? But what I really discerned from all of that was, just like Dorothy did, she always had the power inside of her to get home. She didn't need anybody else to help her. She didn't need this, even the slippers really, to help her get home. But it was inside of her was her heart. The things, so the people who went with her on that journey. So the scarecrow had a lot of heart. Why did you get into business? Who do you really want to help and how do you help them? What is your unique background? That means that doesn't just mean I have a master's in communication and I worked for Chrysler and whatever. That doesn't mean that does is important, but it means I come from a lot of trauma, to be honest. I come from a lot of life experience. I've moved 28 times in my life. I have lived in foreign countries. I've been in places that are really uncomfortable. I have stepped outside of my comfort zone so many times. And because of all of that makes me uniquely me, I have experiences and wisdom no one else has. And there are people in the world that are looking for me to show up as me to guide them on their journey. And that is when I think that's the moment where I realize, okay, my heart, my passion, who I am, how I got here, my level of empathy, my servant's heart, all the things that have informed who I am. My dad was a teacher, my mom was a nurse, my husband's in the military. Talk about serving. That's all we do is serve. I'm also a Stevens minister. And so that's all about serving as well. So you look at what makes me uniquely me. I'm a mom, I'm a stepmom, I'm a foster mom, I'm an adopted mom, I'm even a dog mom. But that, between that and military life and all the kinds of things that I've been through, I've been adopted, I've found my biological father. There's so many things in my life that have really helped me trust myself, intentionally live with people I love as opposed to people who are just blood or just brought to you. Intentionality has been the thing I've learned through my life. When you move every 3 years, you have to intentionally go make friends. Like you have to get outside your comfort zone on a regular basis. All of those things have helped me create my heart and my unique perspective. Plus the skill set and the system. So the skill set is obviously the education I've had, the jobs that I've had, the work I've done, the 30, almost 30 plus years of experience in marketing. And that's been a little scary too, because like literally when I went to school, we didn't have the internet. Like, like that was just like starting things. So I've learned a lot by doing as well, but that skill set, leaning into that, like having all that experience, your unique experience helps inform you to have a unique perspective and don't feel like you have to be someone else and their experience, because your journey has gotten you to where you are and you're successful. By all definitions, you're successfully doing the thing. So you're successful. But then the systems, I am a systems queen. I love a good checklist. I love a good project management system. I have a very scalable system. I have videos on how to do things, SOPs, standard operating procedures. That's easy for me to say. And I love systems and training so that I can not have to do everything myself. I can literally clone myself with my team and encourage them and mentor them to grow as well. And then the last thing is the courage part. That courage part. So you have your heart from the Tin Man, the brains from the Scarecrow, and the courage. And the thing about the lion that's always got me was that he was the one that was the most courageous the whole time. He was the one that was ready to fight anybody who needed to, and he was the one that, but he always was seeking this courage outside of himself. And that, I think, I know so many of our clients and so many entrepreneurs I've talked to has been the thing. They're afraid to show up in front of their brand. They don't know what to say. They don't have a good elevator pitch. They don't have a good one-liner. They don't know how to serve. They don't know what to say to let people know this is who I'm looking for to meet. They don't know. Like you, in my first sentence, Michael, I said I help solopreneurs, service-based businesses who are purpose-driven, who feel like they're stuck in this chaos, right? So immediately you have an idea of who I serve. But I didn't say I help business people who are like, I didn't say it that way. I said it with a little bit more creativity, a little bit more connection. I want to empower people to talk about things the way they'd actually would talk about them to a friend over coffee. And so I think that creating these systems and this process and all of this helps them step more visible in front of their brand. I used to think, and I know I'm not alone, I used to think that if I just did the work, it would speak for itself.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
people will just talk about it. They'll
yep,
just go and talk about it.
sure.
But if you don't give them the tools to talk about or ask or all those things, they're not going to necessarily talk about you. If you don't really tell them who you serve, if you don't really ask for the review or the social media, for the social proof, if you don't ask for the testimonial, I'm all about intentionality. So I'll actually write the testimonial for them, send them the link to my Google page. I make it as easy as possible for people to talk about me and help me. So I
Abs-
think when you step in front of the brand, when you really own it, everything will change for you too. That is just so that all those things kind of have to be in place. And then you really can step out and have the courage and the confidence to be more visible. You even talked about it today a little bit. Like you have, before we got on this recording, you have to practice, you have to stumble, you have to figure it out and have it leave your mouth a couple times and all the things. Everybody started there. You don't have to be perfect. I have a sticky note on my computer that says, I am the permission, meaning I give myself permission to have progress over perfection. I give myself permission to maybe make a mistake, but that's tuition. I give myself permission, and we're all doing that. We're all figuring it out. Like that is the most human part of all of this is the only measurement I have for myself now is how have I grown? Where have I gone to? And that's the only one that matters. If I've developed, if I've grown, if I've gotten better at what I do, then I know I'm in the right spot doing the thing that I love to do. And at the end of the day, if I'm helping my clients and I see their transformations and I actually see them in tears and crying and saying, oh my gosh, this changed my life, this changed my business, then I know that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. And that gives me loads of confidence to
It
step in front
should.
of my
It should.
brand. Yeah.
No, you're focused, you're intentional,
Mhm.
and really the entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, mompreneurs all
Mhm.
have to have that in mind for them to go ahead.
Yeah.
So that's very good. So let's get to a little bit of the hustle part. So many people chase clarity through hustle.
Yeah.
How can someone slow down and actually listen to what their brand is trying to say?
I think I know what you have to do is you have to listen to your clients and what they say about you.
Absolutely.
We've done an exercise where we took all the things that people have said, whether it's emails or testimonials or whatever, and we've thrown them through Chat GPT and asked it to tell us what we do really well. Because sometimes, again, you're in the chaos and you're in the weeds and you're not able to really get there. So here's a great tip. Take your testimonials, take that feedback you've been given and throw it into ChatGPT and say, what do we really do well? And then use those words. Use your clients' words. Use those words to talk about what you do. I really don't think the hustle is like some contrived thing from the internet or whatever of what you should do. And before you know it, if you're doing all the things that like, your competitor is doing because you're seeing this and that and everything, before you know it, Michael, you are shooting all over yourself and you have no time for the things you're supposed to be doing. So you have to be
Absolutely.
really careful about the flying monkeys and distractions of the hustle and shooting all over yourself because before you know it, my business wasn't even my business anymore because I was hustling so hard. It was my client's business because I said yes to everything. I said yes to everyone, and I wasn't supposed to do that. That's one of the reasons why the clients left was I wasn't supposed they should never have been clients in the first place, probably. I should have said no far sooner than I did. And had I done that for myself, I would have known that you cannot drag people across the finish line. Like I now know the kind of people that I want to work with that we can be great partners and I can help them move the needle. But there are some people who just don't want to do the thing you need them to do because it's uncomfortable or it's something they haven't never done before or whatever. So that's why like bold people are my favorites, purpose-driven people, because they want to make a change in the world. They want to make a difference. I think that's something you talked about too. You serve the purpose-driven heart of people. And that is so important. But the hustle, it's a mirage. The hustle, mm-mm. I'm really intentional about how I chunk and stack my time, how I do my work, the systems and processes, and how I train. It doesn't have to be a hustle. I still work really hard. Don't get me wrong. I love the work and I dig in and all the things, but I do more of the things that drive me and less of the things that drain me now. I've either offloaded it or I've automated it or I'm in a process of getting somebody to do the thing, whatever it is, I lean into the things that drive me and make that time intentional on my my camera does that. It's like automatic. I do the things that are intentional that I know that I need to do and not the distractions and not the hustle kind of culture. That may work for some people, that does not work for me.
When I was a business owner outside of a solopreneur, when I had a foundational store, pizzerias, restaurants, things
Yeah.
like that, I realized that if I did the things I enjoyed, that's great. But the things that I don't enjoy, let me farm out to somebody else. Let them do the hard work or the
Hmm.
work that I don't enjoy. And let me go on and create the business that I do enjoy doing. So I think that
Yes.
really much. So, okay. So let me just change a little bit as a mompreneur. Okay.
Okay.
How do you stay grounded in your vision while juggling the very real demands of business and family?
So I created my business in the messy middle of life, Michael. I remember there's no parental leave for an entrepreneur. So I remember having my son, he was 2 days old, and I was on calls with him. And that's just who I am. Now, most of my clients are women, most of them are moms. So they totally got it and understood it. And there was also times where like Zeke, my son never slept. Like Sleep was a magical thing for him. It just was not, it was very elusive. He didn't sleep very often. And I remember my husband's deployed, and I am the only one that can get up in the middle of the night and all the things. So I literally slept around his schedule. And when he was awake or whatever, or asleep, I would be working. So I worked at 2 a.m., I worked at 11 a.m., I worked at 1 p.m., I worked at 6 p.m., whatever worked for his schedule. And that's the thing that I have found is you can create the exact business for you that fits your life if you are intentional and clear about what that looks like. And that was really what happened. I just said, you know what? If they don't like it that Zeke's on my call while I'm feeding him or whatever, then you know what? They're not probably the best client for me because they aren't
I,
in that mindset. If they're not understanding that I won't answer till 2 o'clock in the morning because I have a kid who won't sleep, then they're probably not the client for me. But I was really honest about, hey, I'm entering this next phase of my life. This is what it's going to look like. It doesn't mean that I don't care or I won't be here. I just might be at different times and different places and different things. And now that my kids are older, my oldest is 19, is in college, and my youngest is going to be 10 next month. I'm actually more protective of my evening time and my weekend time. So I'm like, hey, I don't want any, and I am intentional. I don't want any meetings after 3:30 so that I can wrap up and I can get dinner on the table and I can do the things that I want to do. So I think even more, and this was what makes moms awesome, is you have to, when you're really busy, you have to be so intentional with how you plan your day, how you protect your day, and how and what you do. And time is the one thing we cannot get back or buy back or anything. So being really intentional with your time and focused. I have on my calendar like nothing after 3:30. Like honestly, that doesn't happen. I have on my calendar when I want to go take a walk. I have on my calendar like on Fridays, I typically don't have meetings because that's when I schedule my son's appointments or things like that. Like I live my life the way that I want to live my life. And I'm also in a season right now where my husband's deployed. So my husband or my son needs me more because he's deployed. It's just the way kids are, they need you more. So I have had to adjust around this military life thing is no joke. And I have to constantly adjust when my husband comes home, when my husband leaves. What is that going to look like? How much I have to show up for my children versus having my husband here who can take on some of those responsibilities. But I think the thing that has made help keep me sane is this intentionality and the idea of being really clear about where my time is best spent and not saying yes to everyone and everything. Because when you do the things that you're not really good at, like you like, okay, I can do that thing. Like for example, Google Ads. I do marketing, but I don't do Google Ads. I can help with some of the copy maybe and things like that. But the back behind the scenes is a little bit mad scientisty. And I have a person who I refer to for that
yeah.
because they do it really well and they're in it all the time and those algorithms are changing and tweaking and she literally is a mad scientist and I love that about her. That's not me. My thing is branding and digital development. So your website, your messaging, how it plays out into the world. That's the thing that I do really well. And so I now have a real right and left limit of nope, yes, nope, yes. And that goes for people who are going to be on my team. That goes for the kind of clients I want to work with. That goes for the kind of work I want to do. That goes for the partnerships I want to make. I know very clearly, yes or no, that that's going to work for me. So intentionality and clarity. I'm going to say clarity probably the whole conversation, Michael. Clarity is
I
the
have
key.
I have two things to say about everything you just said. One, when I was deployed, I saw it from the other side,
Yeah.
and my wife had to handle everything. When, first of all, my son, who is now 33 years old,
Okay.
didn't sleep through the night until he was 3 years old.
It's a real
Okay, so that
struggle.
was 3 years of
Mhm.
not sleeping. We
Yep.
actually, it was a tag team. You sleep one night, I'll sleep the next night.
Yep.
That was that. But enough about me. Let me go on to the next question.
Before you go, though, thank you for your
Sure.
service and thank your wife and your son for their service because it is
And thank your
a very
husband.
much a mutual thing. So
Thank
I
your
will.
husband very much for his service
I will.
because from one vet to another is a lot. It
It
really
is
does.
a lot for sure. My husband would tell you, thank you for your taxes because that pays the
Okay.
salary.
Right. Okay. So, what advice do you have for someone who's struggling to stand out in a crowded space, yet doesn't want to lose their authenticity trying to fit in?
I would say do a brand spark interview with us.
Right?
But in reality, we did really to help you. We on our website at wickedlybranded.com, there is a brand clarity quiz. And it takes about 3 minutes and it lets you know where your weak spots are. And it also gives you a few insights and tips on how to overcome some of those things that you might be struggling with. So that's a free tool. And there's lots of free tools on our marketing, on our resources tab on wickedlybranded.com, including a podcast, which you've been on. But I guess the biggest thing is to really lean into what makes you uniquely you and don't compromise on that. What I was afraid of before I was clear on my mission and how I wanted to serve and the transformation that we offered, I was afraid to share some really vulnerable things. But now that I know how I can help people with those things, I've been able to share more. For example, a couple weeks ago, I was at a soccer game with my child, and some parents were really rude, really rude. And it's very disappointing. Even their coach was really rude. You could tell that is where it's coming from. And one of the children pushed my son, not just in a soccer or whatever, but like legitimately just pushed him when the play stopped. And the ref saw it and all this. But my son did not respond. And that's something we've taught him. The way you win is you get a goal, not by pushing. So let them do that nonsense. As soon as you get the ball back, score. That's what you do. Really channel your energy into that thing. And I feel like that experience showed, it really talked a lot about how we parent and the kind of people we are. And I shared the story on LinkedIn talking about that because to me, I've never been prouder than of my child. Not because he shouldn't fight for who he is and all those things. Like he knows that there's certain times where you might have to push back, but in the sense of I'm just going to channel this in a really positive way and I'm going to win the way you're supposed to win. And that story says a lot about who I am
That's
as a
nice.
leader, as a boss, as a partner, of how I want to win. I want to win the right way. I don't want to win because we pushed or whatever. I want to win because we worked freaking hard and we did the thing we were supposed to do. And so
Absolutely.
I've used those stories. I get really personal about some of those stories because that is the essence. Those are all examples of how I show up in the world. And so I'm Catholic, and Pope Francis died on Monday. We're recording this the week of April 21st. So for those listeners that are probably seeing this in a month or whenever you actually publish the episode, I'm Catholic, and I don't really talk about being Catholic or even but much about my religion often, except for that I am a Stevens minister. And really, the Stephen ministry is all about helping others, and so they don't feel like they're alone, is really what it's about. So if the pastor is too full, is too busy, we can go and sit with them as they grieve or as they struggle with cancer or whatever it is, but just knowing they're not alone. And that's how I feel about business owners. You don't have to do this alone. Like you can do this with other people. So when Pope Francis passed away, I said, I'm going to talk about him because I feel like he's the kind of leader. I actually converted to Catholicism in 2015. He became Pope in 2013. He was a major reason why I converted because I wanted to lead my life the way he led, serving others, putting others first, even some of the disadvantaged people. My entire team is all across the world. And one of the reasons that I do that is because if I can empower them to start a business in a third world country, they can change their family's trajectory. They can influence their community's trajectory. One of the requirements I have is they have to do a community project every quarter, meaning they have to give away marketing services to a business every quarter so that they're building their community. So I do this very intentionally. Again, intentionality is huge. So I feel like that's the thing. When you're talking about being unique, I'm not talking about, oh, we all do websites because every branding marketer does websites. I'm talking about how I lead, my focus, what I do, how we build, and the kind of person I am. That's what makes me unique and how indifferent. So I really challenge people who are listening today to look at the things that are important to you, the people who have impacted you, the experiences that have changed you, and how can that relate to what you do? I'm sure, Michael, there's a story about, and I think even on the podcast, I asked you like your origin story and like one of the testimonials of people who you've affected, and looking and leaning into your story of how you developed your origin story, but also all the little stories along the way and how it plays into your journey as a person and as an entrepreneur.
Very good. Very good. There are so many points that I wanted to comment on, but I didn't want to stop you. So I'm just going to leave it alone as it is. You help people find their brand voice. What role does networking play in that process, especially when building it from the inside out?
I'm going to go back to intentionality and clarity.
Okay.
When I have done networking that's been really successful, it always starts from this idea of serving others. How can I serve the networking group? How can I volunteer? How can I get involved? And I know, like, even here at Fort Bragg in North Carolina, the Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce that I'm a member of, if my community that I live in is successful, then my business will probably be successful. So by supporting the community itself, you are essentially supporting yourself. Now, I have no expectations of anything in return. However, I do know there'll probably be some unexpected opportunities that will come my way based on who I meet, how I help, and how I just show up for the organization. So I went to a Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce event, and I was talking to the president of the chamber who I'd never met before. And I was introduced to him by the person who does a lot of the community outreach. And she had asked me to write a couple articles for their magazine on business for them. And I just wrapped up an article on internships and the power of them. And we do them a lot at Wickedly Branded. So I had a whole different perspective. Anyway, she introduced her and said, she's great. She writes for us. She's always ready to help. She's always okay. So now the ways that I'm being introduced is like this really nice person who's done all these things. And so immediately he's wants to say hi and see me. Well, I had suggested that the chamber do a podcast. I said, I feel like it's a missed opportunity. I feel like you should do a podcast. I do a podcast. I would be happy to share my tools, what it might look like, some ideas that I have. And the next thing you know, he's saying, hey, our big event that we have, 500 people, let's put you on the stage and you call out for like people's feedback so they can stop by, you can interview them, whatever. 500 people, Michael. I would never have gotten in front of 500 people that opportunity had all those other things not happened. So it really is about showing up as yourself. I don't want you to be fake about this. This is not going to work if you're fake. Showing up as yourself, the things that you're good at, how can you help? Maybe you're a systems person. Maybe you just are process driven, whatever. How can you help them with a system or a process that could benefit? Maybe you're a really good filer or organizer. Like, how can you do that? Whatever it is, the thing that you do the best, do it. I worked for an organization in Michigan called Automation Alley. I was the chair of their marketing committee, volunteered. We ended up building an entire marketing toolkit for everybody in the organization. So I had sample press releases, sample bios, I mean, everything in there to build out your marketing strategy. And it had my name all over it. So guess who they called when they needed marketing help? So you just never know what the thing will be that will lead you to your opportunities. Be you. I remember I was part of the marketing and sales executives of Detroit. I was a member, and I gave a talk on LinkedIn about how you can use LinkedIn to network and to build your business to all the marketing and sales executives. And after that event, they asked me to be on the board. So you just show up as you. Give freely, be genuine. And what I have found is I've found speaking opportunities. I've gotten some business for sure, but I've also gotten lifelong friendships. People who I just admire and respect and really enjoy being around. And that to me is worth everything too. So it's not just about work, but it's actually doing things with people that you really enjoy doing them with.
Absolutely. And it all falls back to your servant's heart.
Yeah.
To how you can help somebody else without thinking about how it can help you.
Mhm.
Because as Zig Ziglar would say, if what goes around does come around,
Yeah.
because if you look to help, then others will help So let's bring this full circle. And if someone listening feels like they've lost their spark or identity in their business, what's the first small step they can take to reconnect with their brand and their why?
So that clarity, that elusive clarity thing that you don't just stumble upon, but you create. This is the little tip I'm going to give today to help you start that ball rolling. So if you're feeling overwhelmed in your business, it's probably because your message or your mission is just not as clear as it should be. So let's fix it. That's the first step. So just take 5, 10 minutes today to jot down one thing that makes your brand truly unique, you truly unique. Maybe it's a story, maybe it's how you got started, maybe it's how someone talked about you. But think of all your lived experiences that give you insights or certain things like maybe it gives you the skill of empathy or gives you the skill of listening because of your life experience, or maybe you're really observant because of your experience in life. But think of all the things that you've experienced, and then think of all the things that light you up, that speak to your heart, that speak to your purpose, to your why you want to help people, how you help people. That little nugget of clarity is going to be a foundation for everything else that you do. You want to build out from that. It's really magical. Once you've got that the overwhelm just starts to melt away because now you know. And I would say, just like with core values, they don't just sit on a wall. It becomes infused in everything you do. This 5 minute exercise of the thing that makes you truly unique, the thing that makes your lived experiences and your passion and everything correlate together, becomes a decision of does it feed that or does it take away from it? Yes or no? That's easy decisions. So when you're thinking like, oh, I have to do this thing, does it feed it? Yep. Does it not? Probably don't need to do it. Or you need to figure out somebody else or some way else to do it. And I love automation. I love offloading. I love scaling. I love systems. And I've just figured out that's the best thing for it. So does it speak to it? Yes or no? And that will help clear the fog, clear the overwhelm, and really help you prioritize what you need to do next for your business.
Really, this was absolutely wonderful. You were a sensational guest. And listen, if somebody wants to be coached or they wanted you to teach them or anything, how can they possibly get hold of you?
So they can always go to the website, wickedlybranded.com, check out that quiz. That's great. But you can Google Beverly Cornell or Wickedly Branded, and we are on all the social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn. I would love to connect. I am a connector, as you can tell. And then just really, but don't just connect with me. Reach out to me. Let's talk. Like actually have a conversation and see how we can help each other because that's where the magic is in the relationship, in the actual connecting. So I would love for a DM or like just take it offline a little bit and let's try to connect and have a 15-minute conversation or whatever. And if there's no intersections or whatever, totally fine too. We got to have a chat. So I really welcome more than just a connection if possible. But yeah, we are everywhere. So you
Okay,
can't miss
perfect.
us. Beverly Cornell and Wickedly Branded.
Beverly, I can't tell you enough. I thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Michael, thank you so much for having me on the show. It was an absolute pleasure to connect again and share
Okay.
insights with you and your audience. I love the conversation, and I really hope the tips and stories we talked about today are helpful and inspiring for your listeners.
Well, hold on, folks. Don't go anywhere. Let me just read a few of our sponsors that we have. Struggling to reach success? Maybe it's time to quit. In Quit Your Way to Success by Rodney Davis, this reveals 27 steps to breaking bad habits that hold you back. This powerful book helps you rewire your mindset, take control of your actions, and turn setbacks into stepping stones. With real life examples, motivational quotes, and actionable lessons, especially for sales professionals, you'll gain the tools to quit what's stopping you and start winning. Transform your future today. So Quit Your Way to Success by Rodney Davis, available now on Amazon. And this is a nonprofit called Revved Up Kids. This is something I believe in wholeheartedly. Revved Up Kids is on a mission to protect children and teens from sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. They provide prevention training programs for children, teens, and adults. To learn more, go to revvedupkids.org. That's REVVEDUPKIDS.org. A huge thank you to our guest for sharing such incredible insights today. And of course, a big shout out to you, our amazing listeners, for tuning in and spending your time with us. If you're interested in my digital courses, being coached, or having me come and talk to your company, just go to Michael and fill out the request form. Remember, networking isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. So take what you've learned today, get out there, and make some meaningful connections. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little networking inspiration. Let's keep the conversation going. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, or my website, forman.com/podcasts.